So, bad news. We had a plan, we looked at track conditions, the track walk, all that stuff.
It was still wet and crashed big time into the wall. Welcome again. We are in Germany, our home race, Driftmasters European Championship Round 5 in Ferropolis, close to Leipzig, and at the same time there's also the Iron Drift King taking place. So the national event would be wrong, but it's the event from this venue. So we have two competitions taking place at one weekend on this amazing venue with amazing drivers, as you could see, Adam Zaleski. So what will happen? We start on Thursday with a practice day for both. On Friday there will be a quick practice for Driftmasters, then qualification, best 30 to qualify for the battles on Saturday, and the Iron Drift King, they will have their qualification and battles already on Friday, and they will have a chance on Thursday night, one shot, one lap. They will be judged by Driftmasters, and the best three will get wild cards and also can take place in the qualification of Driftmasters European Championship. But to sum it up, awesome venue, many drivers, a lot of action.
For me, I sleep good on God. Spend that money, make it reappear. I've been getting paid. I've been eating good. I've been putting this away. If I got a problem, I just call my brother Bay. This is like a warning shot to get up on my face. This is like a warning shot to get up on my way. This is like a warning shot to get up on my lane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the 7. My girl said I'm a dog, but all dogs go to heaven. Thank the Lord when I wake. I've been sleeping like a baby, cause I know my paper straight. Another day to the grave. I get it cause I got to. I got kids I need to pay. Thank the Lord when I wake. I've been sleeping like a baby, cause I know my paper straight. Get that. Another day to the grave. I get it cause I got to. I got kids I need to pay. I've been getting paid.
Clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trending topic. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on mamas. They tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost for stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got 'em rocking with me. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Sending emojis. I'm blowing a pack of that OG. Don't be acting like you know me. And if you did, that's the old me. Winter time, rock a cold fleece. Pocket fat, that's obese. Only talking money if it's increased. She give me brain, girl, no teeth. I touch down, bust down. She busted open for a real nigga.
It's running.
It's running.
Okay, perfect.
Not so perfect was our first lap in qualifying in the wet with patches of somewhat grip-ish. Like the run-up was quite grippy.
Yeah. So initially,
and then like figure skating, like
no grip at all
grip at all.
Some places, and it was really difficult because we had one lap this morning to feel the conditions, and now
they changed again.
And they changed again after that. So let's hope for better conditions and better scores in the second run, because with these scores,
yeah, we out with 55, and that's funny. If something is funny about it, both of us got 55 for different reasons of not perfect laps.
Yeah. So
let's get some perfect ones out.
Pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I fit it up. Hop in my car and I get it up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I fit it up. Hop in my car and I get it up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I've been on the flex, let's flex on. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line bitch take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, 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 no. Go high, go.
bad news. As you can see, my mom is already helping me putting up my racing outfit because that happened again. We had a plan. We looked at track conditions, the track walk, all that stuff. And we came up with an approach, gearing-wise, speed-wise-ish, and where to brake, how to approach second and last chance. And we found out that it would have been perfect if this was about 300 kilos less. Luckily, at least, or semi-luckily, I could forward or relay the information finding out in the wall to Ellie. It's quite a substantial hit. Don't know how much things we're gonna find that are broken, but sadly a bunch. I can actually feel it a bit in my back even. That was it for me. It sucks big time, but it is what it is. Sadly, we learned again a bunch of things that needed improvement. Already have been improved. It's so hard braking, but it is what it is. So this guy designed those shiny aluminum parts. And if we're super lucky, this might have saved a lot of the chassis of the car, subframe.
Yeah, well, especially this one. Because it's literally just designed to bend. There's a bend in it on purpose so that when you hit really, really hard something, instead of wrecking the car, it'll just bend more. Now, we've seen this in action before, I think when some Martin Richards hit you. Yeah. Was it Martin Richards hit you pretty hard in Riga? This bar bent, put another one in, car was straight in a few minutes.
Yeah. And this part you can actually tell that it's bent, right?
Yeah, there's a bit of a twist on it. That actually could be reused, could be just swapped from side to side, tighten it up and it would straighten, but we have fresh ones.
So maybe damage on the car, not as bad as it felt first moment for me out of the car. We'll find out, so fingers crossed for that. Are you wearing your safety goggles?
Yep.
Very good.
Nobody else is.
Yeah.
I'm wearing safety contact lenses.
Alright guys, so in case you wonder what happened. I did not qualify for sure. For Ellie, we do not know yet, so fingers crossed. As in qualifying, you get 2 runs. 1 run for every driver. Then, once every driver is done, you get your second run. It's the same for every driver. You're trying to get as much points as possible on the judging criteria that you can look up on the live stream. Actually, check out the live stream. They explain it quite well. It's about angle, line, style, and obviously speed. And you have to get those clipping zones. You have to be smooth, you have to be still risking enough, a lot to make it exciting. Your style has to be nice. So we came up with a strategy looking at all the cars and on the changing track conditions, because this is horrible in drifting. If it goes from wet to dry, dry to wet, especially the part in between is nasty, nasty, nasty. So we had a plan. I was the car in front of Ellie. I executed. We found out the plan was about that much too short for cars that are that heavy still. So I'm really, really looking forward to the next iteration of these. And sadly, probably have to bounce because there's so much work on my desk that I probably can't even hang out and enjoy the weekend here, which really sucks. I was looking so forward to freaking Ferropolis.
This is the end of Friday. Today we had a quick practice run in the morning. Was the first wet run. The conditions were super, super tricky. There was, in parts of the track, there was quite a lot of grip. In other parts, there was like no grip, almost like ice. So we had the first wet lap practice. Then we had a long break. Then qualification started. First run, Joe went out, did a decent lap, got 55 points. I went out behind him. Also had some minor mistakes, but it was super sketchy to drive. Also 55 points, like similar points. Then the track started to dry up, speeds went higher, and the grip was more level out of the, on the track. And for our second lap in qualification, we had dry conditions, and we expected more or less the same grip that we had last night in the night practice. So Joe went out quite hard, and unfortunately he couldn't slow the car down enough before the second outer wall, and he quite hard crashed into the wall. He gave me the feedback, Ellie, the grip is not on the level as yesterday night, please be prepared. And that time I just saw him rolling out with a M4 compact, unfortunately. So I was a little bit yeah, not happy about that, but tried to stay focused and took his advice. So I went in like 85%. I was a little bit too slow, didn't reach out to all the zones really on the outside. Second turn I think was quite good. I was rubbing my bumper against the wall. Last turn again, I just double e-brake to be safe and not crash the car. So I knew it was not a perfect run, but it was a quite good one. I got 77 points for that. That time it was 19th place, but I knew it would be tight in the end. And yeah, as the track stayed dry, all the drivers that had like wobbly runs in the first run, most of them really bettered their score in the next run. And in the end, I ended up in 34th place, and I was missing like 2 points to qualify. This was a real bummer. Really disappointed about that, because I would have so loved to go into the battle practice tomorrow, because we improved the cars big time in my eyes from Thursday morning until today. We made huge steps in the right position. Especially the feeling inside the car is way better. Like I can really talk with the car, I can tell him what to do. The only thing we are missing is the absolute speed, and we also improved that quite a bit. We are not there yet, but I would have so loved to further improve it tomorrow with the best drivers in Europe, probably in the world, as a reference. Now we don't have the chance as we are not qualified. Practice tomorrow is only for the qualified drivers. So as I said, another bummer for me, for the team, for the entire team, because they worked so hard on the cars. They did an amazing job. As I said, the improvement of the cars this weekend was astonishing. And yeah, that's it for us this year, competition-wise, unfortunately. Not the end that we would have wished for, but this is motorsports. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And I take the learning, and we will be stronger for the next competition. Eventful top 32 here in Ferropolis, Driftmasters European Championship round 5. We saw some stuff as expected. Connor Shanahan, Jack Shanahan going on to the top 16, also Piotr Winczek, but we saw also some really big crashes. James the Machine Dean, he was working on his car until the last second. They had a clutch issue, and they were basically also still working when he was already lining up. So his spotter was helping as well, and they didn't have any eyes on the track, so he expected the track to be fully dry. He drove in super hard and just realized here in the first clipping zone that it was still wet and crashed big time into the wall. Really sorry for him. He also felt some headache right away. This was a big hit. He also sits on the right side of the car, and he just hit the wall there. So this was a big disappointment for him, and quite some damage on his car. Another victim of this really tricky first turn was Örjan Nilsson. He was against Jocke Andersson, and yeah, Örjan also made a huge entry, almost 90 degree and very close to the wall, and especially close to the wall that it was still wet, and he also couldn't slow down the car, crashed into the wall, broke his rear suspension. Yeah, what a shame. He had so great battles with Paul in Riga, and he has such a good improvement. So yeah, these were some of the highlights. Also another victim, I forgot, Adam Zalewski, very experienced and talented driver from Poland. It got him as well, like he was slowing down and already accelerating because the judges want you to go back on the throttle, and he came so close to the wall, there was like no grip. He touched the wall too hard, the car swung back, and the car behind him, Baxi, had to break off, but they deemed Adam default, so he's also out in top 32. Big disappointment for him. But yeah, that's drifting. One big mistake and you are out. But now we have a little break and then we head straight to the top 16 and see how everything continues. So we were lucky enough to meet this guy, Dennis Köhler.
How's it going?
He is actually commentating the entire spectacle, the spectacle. So the event. Tell us, where are you? What's your view? What's your impressions from the event?
Okay, so I'm sitting right on top of the big crane. I have the perfect view from the top down, from the start line, in every corner of this whole track. So the view is absolutely amazing. The only issue I have is the cars create so much smoke that at some point I have to turn around to a screen I have sitting behind me because they're just smoking the track completely out. It's blind from everyone sitting around, so the cameras help a lot. And the impressions of the event, I mean, this is Driftmasters, it's incredible. However you turn it, this is always the highest level in European drifting you're ever gonna see. And this location here, Ferropolis, is absolutely one of a kind. So this is like the biggest, highest level you could ever see in Germany. So this is like my highest recommendation. If you have the chance to go to any event like this, to any Driftmasters event, go there and see our guys here, Elias and Joe Otonji from the Red Bull Driftbrothers, compete at Driftmasters.
Thank you very much for the flowers. What do you think? What was the biggest challenge now in the top 32?
I think the biggest challenge in the top 32 was the track conditions. So we saw James Dean have a big off. He said in the briefing afterwards, like you could tell he was devastated about the crash. He had clutch issues, but the track was still very, very patchy from like the beginning of training, where we had like some rain clouds and the track couldn't dry off completely because the drivers were not driving anymore. So there was a break from 15, 13 to 17. So in that time the track kind of sort of dried up, and you could also hear from Jack Shanahan that he said at the end of the first corner there was still very patchy asphalt, so the track was very, very challenging for the drivers, but it dried up now. So for the top 16 right now, it's gonna be on fire.
Dennis, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. So as we have an awesome view to the track here, I just thought I explain what the judges wanted to see from the drivers on this track right from here. So we have the starting line here. Then we shall accelerate as fast as we can until this white line. And at the white line we should be already sideways, and our front left wheel should be in this small box. There's a small rectangular painted on the floor. You can see it there. You shouldn't be too far inside, you shouldn't be too far outside. Inside is actually even worse than outside. If you go inside, you really get points deducted there. Then you approach the first outer zone on the wall there. This is the place where you are allowed to brake down, to deaccelerate. So in the best case you put on huge angle and brake with the angle, and also with the e-brake and the foot brake. Then just after the zone there you should go on throttle as early as possible and approach the second outer zone on the next wall there. And this turn was especially tricky in these conditions because it stayed wet very, very long, and I even can't tell now if it's really dry or if it's still wet. So let's see, watch out there. And after the second, there's the third outside clipping zone. It's also a small zone over there. You wash there through and should immediately start to prepare for your transition into the fourth outer zone, which is actually the entire second turn. So all around this turn, you should be on the outside, rubbing your bumper on the wall. And this zone is very crucial for the judges. You should not just reach the wall when the zone starts, you should be already outside before the zone starts. So this is something specific they look for. And the next point is, after the third outside zone, fourth outside zone, you should leave the wall immediately when it's finished to prepare the transition to the fifth outside clipping zone on the wall again. And there you should also brake just before the zone, and right after the zone you should be already on throttle again to just make it as chaseable as possible for the chase car. Then there are two more outside clips, and same thing, you should try to not make many adjustments and stay really committed on throttle all the way through to the finish line. And once you're over the finish line, the lead car should stay on the right side, that the chase car has the left side to just separate. So this is the track here. Quite technical, quite tricky, only outside clipping zones, and all the clipping zones are on walls. So if you're a little bit too deep into them, you will have contact with the wall.
The breakages. Who is the winner? It's Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan has won round 5 of the Driftmasters European Championship.
What an amazing event this was. Driftmasters European Championship, round 5, Ferropolis, Germany here. And it was so tricky. The track is not the fastest, however it is very tricky because you have only outside zones with walls around, and then there was also the weather. We started off dry on Thursday. On Friday morning it started raining, so every driver had one practice lap in the rain or in wet conditions, and then qualification started, and in the beginning it was still wet, so the first couple drivers, including us, they had to go out on a wet track or on a patchy track, and it was really hard to judge how hard you can go, where there's grip, where there's no grip, and so on. And we saw many cars crash. In the end, Jack Shanahan, well done. First place, really well deserved. Second place, Pavel Kopolinsky, amazing driving, really on point. Third place, Connor Shanahan. So Shanahans are really happy, and the podium ceremony just started here behind me, so I will go there as well, cheer for them, and I would say goodbye, see you next time.